Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds.
Hey everybody, this is Evan and John, and you're listening to the Boomer and X Show.
All right.
What's up, Matthew McConaughey?
Welcome to the latest and greatest Boomer and X Show. My name is John. This is my friend Evan. Hello, Evan.
Hey, what's up?
How you doing?
Doing good.
All right. As we record this on the late in the evening hours on April 1st, I have decided to go with a different topic than the stuff we had lined out.
Oh, did we line out something?
We lined out some stuff and several things, and I've just decided to table all of that and devote the entire show to the Kardashians.
Awesome. That's my favorite subject.
That's my April Fool's joke to you.
Oh, good.
It's not nearly as good as the one you sent me by email back in the wee morning hours. And
so do you usually do pranks on April Fools?
Never.
Not even little stuff like what you
No,
just
because I don't know that I'm really... Well, I mean, I can't say I never have, but I don't know. Anything that requires that much thought and effort, I don't really do it. I don't know that I've ever been a part of a major prank at all.
Yeah.
You know.
I was in a college, not dorm, but it was a apartment we all rented, and there's 4 of us, and every year, April Fools, it got crazy. I mean, we did stuff like saran wrap the toilet, so when you go in there and pee in the morning, it's just going all over everywhere, and saran wrap in the hallway, so when you're walking, you're hitting it, and just, freezing stuff that they needed to go to work, like their car keys and stuff, freeze them in a block of ice.
And maybe that's my problem, because when I was in college, I never lived in a dorm. I always lived off campus. Yeah. So,
well, I looked at a lot of stats earlier, and not any worth mentioning. The only one that I remember is the only one I remember of note was 80% of the people who said they were going to prank, which I think was like half. 80% of that half said it was going to be mischievous, whatever they did. So,
is there a non-mischievous way to prank somebody?
Well, yeah, saying like you did, saying,
okay,
I'm going to talk about the Kardashians.
Okay,
how
long did it take you to figure out I was not telling the truth?
I wasn't going to do this episode if that's what we were talking about.
A nanosecond.
There's some companies I saw though on that list that did some pretty funny stuff for April Fool's Day. Actually, something that Google did today. If you went on Google Maps and typed in a search to go anywhere,
right.
It turned into Pac-Man. You're Pac-Man, and you're waka 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 waka, and going through.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty neat.
Well.
Another thing, Domino's, and this was I think back when I was a kid. Domino's made an edible pizza box.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember if they actually made an edible pizza box or they said the box was edible to see if people would try and eat it.
Well, or maybe the pizza tastes like a box.
Yeah. That's, you can't decipher if you're eating the box or the
right,
pizza.
Right, yeah.
Tropicana, they did it all pulp orange juice.
Oh, okay.
Instead of no pulp, they did all pulp.
I thought, because when you said that, I thought you said Pope. I'm like, what's the Pope got to do with orange? Okay, pulp. Okay. I got you now.
That's just a couple that I saw that I remember off the top of my head.
So here we are starting April. Easter's coming up. Good Friday's in a couple of days.
It is going to be good. We will be off.
We will be off, and we'll get paid to be off. So, there you go. Tax Day, April 15th is coming up this month. For those that haven't already done their, I assume you've already taken care of your.
I didn't get that memo.
I don't.
Did you see the memo about this?
So anyway, that's coming up, and you might want to look into that memo. The 22nd is Earth Day. The 24th is actually Arbor Day. The two are close to each other.
So they didn't tell you about this weekend?
I'm going to need you to go ahead and come.
This is from our boss earlier.
So if you could be here around 9, that would be great. Okay? Oh, and I almost forgot. I'm also going to need you to go ahead and come in on Sunday, too. Okay? We lost some people.
This is from the 1999 comedy Office Space, which, if we were doing a favorite movie list and we were breaking down by categories, this would be my favorite comedy of all time.
Oh, favorite comedy. I thought you said favorite movie.
There's no way to pick a favorite movie. I can't.
True.
But favorite comedy of all time. Airplane is very, very quotable. Certainly, it may be the most.
And this is
quotable.
right there with it.
And this is right there with it. But what I love about this is because I can relate to this.
Yeah, you actually had an office job, and
I've had several office jobs.
And like you just said, you had a boss like that.
Yeah, and actually went to see this while I was living in Houston with a bunch of coworkers, which made it even more fun and funnier because we were all laughing at the same person.
Relatable stuff.
Yes. So
I think what's funny about that is I think I didn't see it till it was out on DVD. And you saw it in theaters.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, you would have been 10.
Yeah, I know.
Actually, 9.5 because it came out in the spring.
Yep.
So yeah, I saw it with some coworkers not long before I moved away from Houston to go to Atlanta. But yeah, my favorite comedy. It's just great.
So we stayed in town this weekend for that only happens once every blue moon, but we actually stayed in town, and you had a date.
I did.
Yeah,
I did for the
did we mention in that in the last episode?
I don't know.
I don't think we did
or not. But actually, Friday night, you and I went to see a movie after work, and thinking that it might be a conversation for the show, and the movie just wasn't that good. If you're thinking about going to see the movie It Follows for a good little scare, save your money.
Don't.
Yeah.
Go watch The Conjuring, even if you've already seen it.
Yeah, it wasn't that good. Saturday, we had a fish fry over at your place. We were finishing up the catfish that
that was this weekend.
That was, yeah. Yeah, I caught the previous weekend.
It took us like 2 hours to cook all that fish.
And, yeah, it took a long time. And then Sunday afternoon for lunch, I did something I haven't done in, I don't know, like 3.5 years. And it may be another 3 years before I do it again. Yeah, so, and I told you and Katie Saturday night that I was meeting someone for lunch on Sunday. And I told you, if it went really well, yeah, good. It went well. There'd be a second one. If it didn't go all that well, then it was show fodder. So here we go. Let's talk about it.
Did you tell her about the show?
I told her about the show. I didn't tell her.
You didn't say she'd be on.
I didn't say if this doesn't go well, you'll probably be on the show.
I'm sure she was like, did you tell her that like halfway through or something?
I don't know when at what point it came up in the conversation.
Like, oh, great, I'm gonna be on that dang podcast.
No, I think I just squeezed in something about the podcast between conversations about her ex-husband.
Oh, she talked about her.
She talked about her ex-husband. She and I mean, it wasn't all the time. It wasn't terrible.
Still, I mean,
but no, it was enough to like, okay, one and done. But she talked about that. She looked at her phone several times, which I don't like
rude.
at all.
It's rude.
Yeah, and I didn't think I was being that boring. And she said something about a friend was texting her to see if she was all right. I'm really, I mean, meeting at a deli in the middle of the day, And let's see what else. The phone, the ex-husband conversation, and I don't know, but I don't see any reason.
Was there a third strike?
All I need is 2 at this point. That's
Jeez.
it. I'm done there. I mean, we'll see down the road. I mean, I'm on this thing now. I paid up for 6 months. We'll see what comes, but it wasn't great. It wasn't the worst date I've ever been on, but it was by far from being anywhere close to a really strong date. So Okay, now getting on to some more actual serious conversation, some things that we wanted to cover. It's going to kind of be of a religious segment, and I hope everybody didn't just unplug and turn off when I said that. But there's an HBO documentary that's out right now on Scientology, the religion, Scientology. So the Scientology is something that everybody is familiar with, but I don't think people know a whole lot about. I mean, what you've heard of it?
Yeah, I saw a episode of South Park about it.
Okay,
That's all I know.
Do you know some of the famous people that are? And I mean,
well, there's Tom Cruise,
and
there's,
John Travolta.
John Travolta.
And I think it's such a wonderful religion. It makes Tom Cruise jump up and down on Oprah's couch. No, wait, that was Katie Holmes who did that about. But so anyway, Scientology. One thing that of note is that because the Scientology powers that be are so litigious, no American network was willing to license any material to HBO to use. So there's a lot of fear and intimidation out there, certainly from a financial standpoint.
So, all right. So this religion is they believe there's some mothership out there that's going to come take us. Well, for instance, Christianity, you believe there's Jesus, and one day he's going to come back and the rapture and take all of his believers, right? That's pretty much cut and dry Christianity.
Okay.
So what's the cut and dry of Scientology?
According to L. Ron Hubbard, said that there is a civilization, a civilization without insanity, without criminals, and without war, where the able can prosper and honest beings can have rights, and where man is free to rise to greater heights, are the aim of Scientology.
That's right. Now that you say that, I remember they were doing that on that South Park episode.
Did they actually?
Yeah, they actually got into it. South Park's, I mean, even though it's, some kids that cuss every third word, it's pretty educational in their humor.
It certainly
you learn
can be.
something after you watch the episode.
Right. He started this actually from writing his book called Dianetics in the early 50s. It was a self-help book.
Yep.
And from that sprung this
religion.
Religion that
is that their Bible or?
I don't think so. I think it was just sort of the precursor to some other things that he did.
Is he still alive?
No, he passed away in 86.
Okay.
Yeah, 1986.
So on the South Park episode, he was already dead, and I wasn't sure if that was fact or not.
Yeah.
But one of the South Park characters went in there and took their little test to see if you're qualify or whatever. I don't know. You take some kind of test apparently. And he was like off the charts, and he ended up being like their new ruler incarnate. And so they were all asking him for the answers, and he had to write a new book with the answers in it.
With the answers.
Yeah. And of course he's in first grade or whatever.
Right. Which South Park character was it?
I think it was Stan. It was the one with the Jewish lawyer dad.
Okay.
Whichever one that is.
Right. It says here that it teaches that people are immortal spiritual beings who have forgotten their true nature. The story of Xenu is part of Scientology's teaching about extraterrestrial civilizations and alien interventions in earthly events, collectively described as space opera. Its method of spiritual rehab is a type of counseling known as auditing, in which practitioners aim to re-experience consciously painful or traumatic events in their past in order to free themselves of their limiting effects. So
you mentioned it was in the news right now. What was that? The documentary?
The documentary, right? Okay. It's why it's so high profile right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it premiered at the Sundance Film Festival, and from everything I read, it was very well received, with the exception of the people of Scientology, and they go after very aggressively anyone that has anything negative to say about them, and I've read some stuff.
Oh, so it was a negative documentary.
Oh, very much so.
Oh, I
very
thought it was
much so. Oh, no.
Okay.
It was very anti-Scientology. And the producer and the guy that wrote the book that the movie was made from should lead to maybe a little bit more of possible law enforcement looking into some of the things that are going on, and some people that may be being intimidated or may be being coerced into staying in a situation that they don't want to be in.
So there's people being forced to stay. What is the? How do you say that? Scientologist.
Yeah, I guess.
You're a
Yeah,
Scientologist?
yeah, Scientologist.
I am scientific. Like, how would you say that? Like saying I am a Christian. I am a Scientologist.
Yeah, you would say I'm a Scientologist.
Yeah, that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
They got to have some code words.
Which the word science being in here is I don't, that seems kind of strange. I mean, as if all of it isn't strange, but because there's nothing scientific about it. And I tell you, as a kid, and I still remember seeing, because this whole thing started in the 50s and 60s and was still going on pretty big into the 70s. I remember seeing commercials for the book Dianetics, and as a kid, I remember getting there were two terms that I got confused: Scientologist, and then the religion Christian Science. There's a Christian Scientist, and I don't know anything about that. I haven't looked it up, but I just remember getting those two kind of mixed up. I'd start to say it's interesting. I guess it's interesting from something of a bizarre standpoint.
Do Scientologists, are they a true religion where they get like certain rights?
Tax breaks, yes, they do. Now, some countries have lifted that, but the United States still has them as, yes, a tax, nonprofit, or whatever they need to be. And they actually use that as an argument, saying they are a bona fide religion.
Because they get that tax break?
Correct, yes.
So you can't just walk outside and say, hey, I'm a Scientologist. You got to pass a test, I think.
I don't know what the sign-up
someone has to come
process
out
is
and verify you are actually indeed Scientologist.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I could certainly go down to like a Methodist church, which is what I am, and walk up at the end of the service and say, I want to be here. My name is Joe, and sign me up.
I wonder if there's any Scientologist churches around here.
I don't know. My guess would be no.
Yeah, I would. I mean, because we don't have many different religions other than Catholic and.
Yeah, I mean, it would
a lot of Catholic churches.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, that's predominantly what's here in South Louisiana, but a lot of it certainly wouldn't be as diverse as some areas.
Because there's some areas where on one block they have 4 different churches and stuff.
Right. The documentary is getting a lot of notice, and it's also, but again, the Scientology people are being highly critical, and they're even sending emails and trying to intimidate the movie reviewers that did reviews on the documentary. So I think anytime you're a part of an organization, anything, and anytime that someone has something disagreeable to say with that organization and you attack them like this, I mean, to me, your own actions publicly like that are more damning than anything else with regards to telling me whether or not your organization has issues.
So are you disagreeing with the way that they're attacking?
Well, I guess they have a right to attack their critics. Yeah. But to me, that only proves that their critics are making a very valid argument.
Okay. Well, something that comes to mind is when the movie, and now this wasn't a documentary, but the movie, the Da Vinci Code, what it does is it gets Catholic beliefs and Catholic traditions and stuff, and conspiracy theorist type movie where they're saying Jesus married Mary Magdalene and they had a kid and stuff like this, like just random crazy stuff. And of course, it's just a movie, it's a Hollywood movie, it's all fake. But the Catholic Church was like, you can't watch this movie.
So, but as someone who grew up in a very religious household, you watched the Da Vinci Code. Was there anything that you found that it bothered you, that it offended your sensibilities?
No, I mean, I thought it was an entertaining movie.
Okay.
And I wasn't like, oh, my eyes are opened, I now know the truth. I wasn't, right. I didn't have that sensation at all. But I think a lot of people did. Or I think the Catholic Church thought a lot of people would think I'm being lied to, and so they didn't want them to go see it.
To me, I can't really separate religion, organized religion, from the money it brings in. And in fact, that was one of L. Ron Hubbard. One of his direct quotes is he wanted to start a religion because that's where the real money is. I mean, certainly the Catholic Church has a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
You know. So just kind of wrapping up with the Scientology conversation, I would say if it's something that interests you, the HBO documentary, which is actually called, Going Clear, Scientology and the Prison of Belief. And it is based on Lawrence Wright's 2013 book, Going Clear, Scientology, Hollywood, and the Prison of Belief. Give it a look, and from everything I've read, it's very enlightening, very educational with regards to some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that goes on with Scientology. Let's take a real quick break. There's a big news story that we'll talk about in a little bit, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
That was Howard LaPointe. He's a Lafayette local. Actually, he's from New Iberia, and he emailed me this music to showcase on our show. So, again, that was Howard LaPointe, and that song was called, and it's Cajun, so I'm probably going to say it wrong, Cass Forest, K-A-S Forest, Cass Forest, Cass Forest.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
So we talked a little bit about Scientology, we talked a little bit about Christianity. Let's talk a little bit about Easter is coming up. In fact, we are shortly headed into Holy Thursday, which commemorates the Last Supper, going into Good Friday. And
what was good about Good Friday?
I've always thought it was misnamed. I understand the meaning of it. I just always thought it was misnamed. Sunday was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, if you believe that, Sunday was fine. But there was nobody that was happy on Friday. Nobody. Nobody was saying... In fact, no, even the most stringent believer was not sitting around saying, yeah, it was a sucky day.
Oh, yeah, he said he'd come back.
But
yeah,
man,
no
Sunday, we're going to be having... I mean, so no, it wasn't good.
It'll be good when I'm on the water fishing.
So, some things about Easter that you may not, even though you've celebrated your whole life.
Yeah, Peter Cottontail, he comes and he drops off a bunch of eggs that have money/boiled dead chickens in them. And they're painted pretty.
The eggs actually symbolize the empty tomb.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So I guess a hollow egg would make sense.
But no, we put money in it.
I never had an Easter egg with money in it.
Well, we always did one with money in it.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, it's probably a Eddington tradition.
I think it definitely wasn't in my household. But we were, again, with the exception of the big Christmas get-together that was like every other weekend at your family, was once a year at ours. I mean, we just didn't... it was pretty low-key, really. But Easter, the date varies. First of all, it's always associated with Passover.
It's always 40... No, Jewish, it's always... What is it 40 days after?
Actually, it's not even 40 days after Ash Wednesday.
If you don't count the
It's
weekends.
47 days.
Well, yeah, if you don't count the weekends.
The Sundays.
The Sundays.
The Sundays.
Okay.
So, the 40 days of giving up something for Lent...
Yeah.
Doesn't count the Sundays.
So you can do whatever you want on Sunday.
I had it told to me by a Catholic years ago, yes, but I haven't researched it. But I do know that the days don't line up. You've got 7 days. You've got 47 days between Ash Wednesday and Easter. But you've only got 40 days of giving stuff up. So I guess that's it. I guess Sunday's the day you can go back to your sinful ways on Sunday.
I guess they assume you'll be in church, so you won't be doing sinful things.
Why not say 47 days then?
I don't know. Maybe we should get a Catholic on here and ask them.
Well, I mean, you can't sling a dead cat in this town without finding one, so, I mean, we can do that. But Easter is calculated as the first Sunday after the Paschal full moon that occurs on or after the vernal equinox.
So it's astronomical?
It's astronomical.
It's not...
And the dates can be as early as March 22nd or as late as April 25th. So you have this huge range.
You're right, because it's not like most holidays we celebrate where it's like first Friday of whatever. You know.
Well, Christmas is always on the 25th.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving is always on the fourth Thursday.
Yeah.
So you can have a range of, I guess, 7 days with that.
But Easter is usually always different, and that's why.
That's why. Now, another religious topic. Indiana has just passed a, quote, Religious Freedom Restoration Act, and that was signed by Governor Mike Pence. That's just happened over the past few days, and it's very much so in the news.
Is he Republican or Democratic?
My guess is Republican.
Oh, well, then I support it.
Well, then I'm against it. I'll just be against it. My suspicion is he's a Republican because it's Indiana and because he signed this law.
This law, yeah.
But a lot of people say that what the law does is it opens up discrimination possibilities for businesses that do not want to serve, say, members of the lesbian, gay community.
Okay. So you're sitting there and you're acting gay and they can ask you to leave?
I'm not real sure how.
I mean, do they ask you when you walk in if you're gay?
I don't. For instance, let's say you own a business and you choose not to cater a same-sex wedding, which I wouldn't be surprised if they even have that in Indiana. I mean, I wouldn't think Indiana would be one of the states. But as more and more states have legalized same-sex marriage over the past few years, this is sort of a blowback of, what we'll do, the conservative legislatures.
Gotcha.
We'll enact laws that say that you can do that, but we don't have to have anything to do with it.
You can be married, but we can kick you out of our establishment.
Or not, if we choose to not work your wedding or serve your wedding.
How is this religious?
Well, it's called the Religious Freedom Restoration Act.
Okay.
That's the name of the act. Now, of course, laws are always passed and organizations are always formed that the name is very misleading. With regards to
So it's just attacking the LBGY?
LGBT. Lesbian, gay, bi, transgender.
So it's just targeting them.
It's not, I don't think it's targeting necessarily.
Well, what was it when we said black people couldn't eat in our restaurants?
Right. Or they were segregated off to a certain... Yeah. So
same thing.
Yeah, I mean...
Same thing. I mean, we're just allowing it and saying the Bible's letting us do it.
Right. So, and a point that I'd like to make is if we're going to isolate certain lifestyles that we don't like, or if we're going to handpick sins or shortcomings and decide that we don't want to do business with those people, I mean, why is this? Why does this? And as someone that is obviously from a different generation than I am, so look, there are thousands of different ways to commit sins. I mean, you can look at the 10 Commandments if you want to. I've been a breaker of several of those.
You killed a man?
I didn't say which ones. Did not say which ones. But why this? Why does this stick in people's craw so much?
Some's got to.
Is that it?
I guess. Yeah.
Something's got to.
Something's got to. I mean, I don't know. I can't really answer that question. I mean, it's never bothered me. I was raised in a household where the Bible was, we followed what the Bible said.
Okay.
But there's just stuff that made sense and didn't make sense to me, and this is kind of one of them. Because how can you say love everyone as you would love yourself, and that is the greatest command of all.
Right.
And then treat people like this just because they say I'm gay.
Right.
That's not for me to worry about. I'm supposed to do my job and love you like I love myself.
And you were raised in a very religious, fairly conservative household.
Oh, yeah.
And yet this is your point of view on this particular topic.
Yeah, I mean, I could care less,
right,
who you who you call your soulmate,
I have wondered over the past several years, as it continues to be a hot topic, month after month after month after year, why this particular group of people. Is it just because they're different?
I don't know. I think.
And actually, that's as good. It's good or better than any answer I can come up with. And of course, look, and a lot of these anti-gay fires have been stoked by politicians that want to get this part of the electorate out to vote. So, and so there you go. Get them. Look, the best way to get people to vote is to make them afraid of something. So if you're going to make them afraid of terrorists or gay people,
make them scared that if you don't vote and let this bill pass, there'll be gay people running everywhere.
I think that's as ridiculous as it sounds, I believe that's what's kind of driving the whole thing.
Well, when it gets to politics, count me out, because there's no telling what they will do or say to get people to do something.
Right.
And because they just want more power, more money.
And yet, religion and politics are so intertwined
and they
in this
use,
country.
They use hot topics to get these results.
Yeah.
Just for instance, all right, say they just overnight made anything homosexual legal.
Legal? Wait a minute. What do you mean made
legal?
Anything
like
legal?
You can get married. You have the same rights as straight people. Everything.
Okay.
Say they did that overnight.
There are states that are like that.
Okay. Everywhere. Overnight.
Oh, you mean the whole country?
Yes.
Okay, well, all right.
Okay.
But, I mean, the way things work in our country, states actually decide this.
Yeah,
okay.
So every state has decided.
Okay. This is a theoretical, hypothetical. Yeah. Okay.
Now what? What's next? Is it weed? What's the next big thing? There's always going to be something.
Well, no, you keep fighting it. I mean, the same way the Affordable Care Act keeps getting fought.
Gun laws, that's another big one. Anytime there's a shooting, gun laws get brought up.
But you know what? Nothing ever changes.
Oh, no. And if it does, it just gets changed right back. And sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. I mean, we just, I don't know. It's just a struggle. I don't, like I said, when it comes to politics, keep me out of it, because I'll vote, I'll do my part. But
if you vote, don't you want to be an informed voter?
Well, yeah. Okay. Of course. Are you getting at that we're not informed voters?
Well, you said when it comes to politics, keep me out of it, but I vote.
I'm talking about I don't want to be in politics. Like, don't get me into politics.
So you mean conversation-wise, discussion-wise,
I'll talk
debate-wise?
about it. Yeah, I'll talk about it. But as far as, I'm saying, that's one thing I'll never do.
To me, I'm a little bit more of our political process is so broken. Our system is so corrupted by money and power that I almost don't want to stake a claim in it. I almost don't want to say, "Oh, okay, well, I believe this," because I just think it's all.
So you vote, right?
I do.
So,
I do.
But it kind of almost sounds like it doesn't matter.
That's where I am. Yeah.
So you vote, but you honestly believe that it's just doesn't.
I guess I vote by the same way that I make sure I don't throw my own trash out the window while I'm driving down the road.
I got you.
I'm not going to become a part of the problem. Although I think the problem is too big to solve, I'm going to try not to become a part of it. So there it is. As we drive to Natchitoches on the weekend, and we always stop and get McDonald's on the way up, my keeping my trash in the car.
Remember when I pretended I tossed it out?
You rolled your window down.
I rolled the window down, and I even pretty much did throw it out, but I kept it in my hand. And you whooped around so fast.
So
turn around.
So the reason that I keep that until we get off the Natchitoches exit and stop at the little convenience store and I throw it away there, that's the same spirit in which I vote. It doesn't do a damn bit of good, but if I'm not part of the solution, then I'm part of the problem. So that's it.
So that just got off topic.
That's yeah.
Let's reel it back in with Passover, which I think we did very lightly touch on.
Yeah, and the thing with Passover is that it always coincides with Easter, because if I remember correctly, the crucifixion happened
40 days after Mardi Gras.
47 days. 47. Oh, I know, Passover. So my favorite religious movie, even though it's not a Christian movie, The Ten Commandments. Charlton Heston.
Okay, yeah.
I love that movie. And I watch, and it comes on every year, and I record it, and I watch it the way I watch some Christmas movies.
Just let it play.
No, every year I will watch the same Christmas movies like It's a Wonderful Life or Scrooged or, A Christmas Story. Every year, this time of year, I'm like, the one movie I absolutely have to see is The Ten Commandments. I just like it. I like it as a movie, as a story. It was made back in the 50s. The special effects are, from the 50s. A lot to be desired, but I don't know. For some reason, I just like that movie.
Well, yeah, I guess if I was alive in the 50s and movies came out, I would like them.
I wasn't alive in the 50s. What religious movies, not Christmas movies, but what religious movies, say Easter-type movies, have you ever seen?
I can't remember the name of it. The one Mel Gibson did.
Okay, you saw that?
Yes.
In the theater?
Yep. Our school actually went and saw it as a school, a public school.
Wow.
A public school. We went as a field trip, rented out the whole Tinseltown in Shreveport, and we went and all watched it.
Wow, a public school.
Mm-hmm. With a Baptist preacher for a principal. So I guess that had something to do with it.
Well, yeah, but what if you had some Jewish or Muslim
They didn't get to go on the field trip.
Wow, interesting. I saw it in the theater. I went and saw it by myself.
What was the name of it?
The Passion of the Christ.
Passion of the Christ, yeah.
It was extremely intense.
Oh, yeah, and that's what he was going for.
Well, and yeah, mission accomplished. I just saw it the once.
Well, it's not really one you watch.
Over
I doubt the DVD sales for that movie were awesome.
I agree.
Because if you saw it in theaters, I doubt you bought the DVD.
Yeah, it was
kind of one of those. Yeah, I saw it.
I saw it.
Yeah. But it was worth seeing. It was.
I
good.
agree.
It was good.
But I never had a desire to see it again. Whereas something like the Ten Commandments, I watch it every year at this time. But all right, we want to do a break and then come back and talk about something that's not of a religious nature.
Okay.
Hit us up with some music. We'll be back. Okay, just to wrap up on something other than religion. So here is, on this day in musical history, April 1st, 1970, John Lennon and Yoko Ono play an April Fool's joke on an already confused press by announcing that they would undergo mutual sex change operations.
And we did talk about in the last episode how they did that sit-in.
Right. And so...
And is this why the press was confused?
I think so.
Okay.
I think this is probably a spin-off of that. So, yeah, there you go. Mutual sex change operations. What do you know? I found something topical about the whole conversation we were just having.
Oh.
So, there. Let's end on that note. You can't do any better than that.
We'll go ahead and wrap it up. All right, so if you ever want to ask us a question, if you ever want to give us topic ideas, just go on our Facebook or send us an email at theboomerandxshow@yahoo.com. And on Facebook, it's just search for The Boomer and X Show. And Also, search for the Boomer and X Show on iTunes.
All right, guys. Thanks again for joining us for our little religious topical conversation. Hope you enjoyed it. And have a great Easter weekend if that's your thing. We'll be back shortly.
Adios.